it's not over, as we know. Fremantle, if they can win this game and then bank on Collingwood to beat Essendon, they could make it, or they will make it into the top 8. So it's all ahead of us. Have we got another twist this afternoon? St Kilda and Fremantle. And it's coming to you from Hobart. They crash in, and a really early start, particularly for Fremantle. And, of course, the general time difference is something they had to become accustomed to during the week, or that was what Dustin Ronley was hoping his players would do, as Jones kicks it out to the wing, and it goes over for Brett Ratton. It's the last game of the season. So I wonder what the Saints can get out of it. Certainly Zach Jones, who we saw get that first possession, he's been a valuable player when he's been there, and that's been the issue for him. Marshall has backup today in Hunter. Still no Paddy Ryder, so he wasn't risked late in the season. Hill coming off a quiet one last week against his former team, one of his former teams. And there is Hayden Young. He's been a huge inclusion for Fremantle. You talk about their back six and then building. He's going to be a real part of it with his crisp kicks. Ace can't quite hit the target inside 50. Collier busy. Akers, another against his old team. It wobbles forward, got dispatched by Tracy, and it's over the line and out of bounds.
It's good movement from Freo to be able to, St Kilda try to come back inside with a corridor ball. Young got himself in the right spot. Then the overlap run to set themselves up from that position on turnover is critical for Freo to be successful today.
Marshall and Darcy, who's been in hot form. Marshall gives this free kick up to Steele. Speaking of hot form, all-Australian form, you'd think he'll be named in the squad and the team.
Bailey Banfield's going to him very hard, Dwayne. That was the free kick off the ball for a hold. He actually started outside the centre square, then came directly into Steele. Banfield got Tim Kelly and Luke Shuey last week, so watch that matchup.
You've got the team, have you, Dwayne? I didn't realise that.
Great to have the all-time... No, I don't, but you'd think Steele would be all-Australian. Well, I'm not picking it, but it'd be in mind. Logue picks it, gives it up to Walker, who is the runner from half-back. Plenty of space and time. Straight down the spine. Here's toward Akers, slipped past him. Switkowski, he flicks it up to Akers in game 100. Heads goal square. Mick gets back and he drops it. Still a chance though. Tries to fend off and it didn't work. The don't argue was met with an argument from Nick Caulfield.
Yeah, huge from Caulfield. Huge. That's a big tackle to hold on to Meek, who was trying to just use that strength, the bigger size, to push him away.
I still don't mind that, Jono. I mean, he's only played a handful of games, Lloyd Meek, but back yourself.
Yeah.
Even though you got caught, yep, it looks bad, dropped a mark, probably should have taken, but at least he had the wherewithal and the aggression to say, I'm going to take you on. I love that from a young player. It's a big man.
Yeah, working in tandem again with Sean Darcy. It's how they started the season, how they're going to finish it. Marshall, speaking of which, grabs it out of the air and met by Sean Darcy. What a season he's had, Jono.
He's been fantastic. Speaking about All-Australians and who's going to take that ruck spot in the All-Australian side, the selectors, it's a tough year to select.
Sarong fires it in there. Ad hoc kick. Caulfield. And then Wilkie, important component of the St Kilda defence, gets it out to the wing, but Griffin Logue immediately with the mark. Higgins getting out of the danger zone. There's an element of risk in that kick. Ryan, though, was able to work the handball forward, and Walker with the guided pass into the 50, just slightly off the mark for Tracy. Akers has got company. Caulfield has been everywhere so far. He hasn't had a season that the Saints would have hoped, but he's hopefully finishing the season strongly.
Webster, he turns it over straight away to Ryan, who might have turned it over as well. Past the outstretched arm of Butler. Memory caught by Young.
Did a good job, Young, because that ball looked like it was going to spill out. And he was able to reach around Membry, grab the ball and drag it back under him, force the stoppage.
Plenty of open space beyond the congestion here for this ball up, as you saw. And Aish flicks it out. Switkowski. Brayshaw back in after suspension. Heads out wide to Tucker. Time to backpedal. Back to Brayshaw. Got a little bit of room to move. And he heads inside 50 to Taberner. Drops it. Meek caught in another tackle. Wilkie wrapped him up. And
it's a bit sore here, Taberner. He sort of rolled his ankle a little bit off, dropping that mark.
Should have taken the mark too, John.
That's right.
But a couple of opportunities, Meek and Taberner early.
Taberner had an unbelievable start last week. Kicked 3 goals in the first quarter. Wasn't a big factor after that. But that's when the Dockers really got the match, what turned out to be the match-winning lead. Darcy, Strakowski spent a fair bit of time in the guts last week. 10 to 13 of the centre bounces. So he getting an opportunity late in the season as Dockers work their way around. And then, oh, that's not 15 for Cotter. He reacted quickly, stretched the handball through to Walker, and then further away. Doesn't often venture that far forward. Darcy got wiped out by Butler, then Hill with a tackle, well anticipated by Webster. He coughed it up under pressure. Hard to get clean possession at the moment. Higgins changes all that, and the Saints can go off half-back.
So Higgins gets it back. He knows he's got runners left, right, and centre, and he goes right. Chance for Ross. Takes some time. Sinclair pops it to the pocket. Set it on Membry's head. It might still work. Sharman just toes it inside to Higgins. Third possession in this string of play, and he can finish it all off with style.
Gee, that's good running, isn't it, from Jack Higgins? And they needed someone to chime in and just make things happen. It's been a scrappy old start. Opportunities forward for the Dockers. They've been unable to take a few turnovers from both teams. But that time it was slick hands through the middle and Higgins finishing off the work.
First inside 50, first goal for the Saints.
Well, it started with the intercept from Webster down back, and then they were able to get good flow from that and get the ball into this position in the middle of the ground. And then Higgins just had options everywhere. But it's the run from behind that was really impressive here. The support run from Sinclair has been sensational for the Saints the entire season. And then just the composure there. I like that. The stop steady and just the flow-on run from Jack Higgins to get himself back involved in the contest again.
So the Saints get the first. They kicked the first 5 last week against Geelong. So both teams were fast starters last week. Of course, the Dockers went on to win. The Saints got overrun by the Cats. But he's had a pretty solid year, Jack Higgins, first up.
He's finishing the season well.
I hope he's very tired. I hope he's really tired, because he's had 5 touches and a goal early. He better be tired, because why else would you go off the ground?
Jason in the cheap seats today. Just got the way he started. I've got a feeling we're going to get a very good contribution.
I'm with him. They left Bailey Fritsch on a week ago in Melbourne, and he just kicked goal after goal after goal.
26 goals for Jack Higgins now for his first season as a Saint, the team he loved as a kid. Brayshaw pressured up by that week off, even though we would have preferred to have played, obviously, in the derby.
Looks like Zach Jones might have copped one in the eye back in the middle of the ground, but he's up and running now. He was down for quite a while. He's
coming straight off
there. A finger from the big fella.
Coming straight off the big ruckman Hunter on, but Zach Jones, he's okay. He's just taking a bit of time with the trainers.
They're clumsy, the big blokes.
Meek, Bytel was watching Mundy closely. Still had an impact as Akers drives it, buries it in the pocket. And Webster takes the mark, and he started to play on straight away, so had to be committed to that line. Sinclair, he has had an excellent season, both deep in defence and when he's been able to push forward and deliver into the forward 50. He's just about been the best at that for the Saints. Hannibal, his second game for the season. Didn't get a huge amount of the footy last week, but as always uses it well. Had 18 disposals. Kick goes to half forward. Membry got a clear passage. Able to take the mark and move it on to Crouch. Ross coming one way, Marshall the other. Dockers defend stoutly. Now Meeks realised he's got a mismatch. Ross paddling it to Steele. Watson tried to take care of him. And Banfield bought them some time, and now Ryan will have the kick out.
Plants his foot into it, heads wide, gets as much ground as he can, and Darcy made the ground to get there. Has become a massive around the ground threat there, Man Mountain. Heads to half forward. It's over the head of Henry, and he gains 65, and they'll get a ball in. So keep an eye on Jones as they keep an eye on Jones. And let's hope they get Higgins back out there quickly, their goal kicker. Keep those goal kickers on when they're hot. Meek tries to flick it out. Bytel a sneaky chance, couldn't do something with it. Banfield, Mundy again slows time. heads to full forward. Taberner was a 1-on-3. And they do get it through for a defensive behind.
Yeah, both teams sending their high half forwards up around the stoppage. So it does mean that when they do go into the forward lines, they're outnumbered. And Fremantle particularly sending a couple of players right up high. So be interesting to... Those small half forwards have to really release hard back to make sure that there's even numbers deep inside 50.
Steele, his kick fell a little shorter than anticipated. Crouch was able to dig in and win it through by Towell. And the Saints able to get it out with careful ball movement. Member provided a target. And then out to the wing. Marshall just a little vulnerable there. Hanbury, though, is onto it quickly. Disrupted, but good adjustment from Kent. And Hunter decided that a handball would be wise. Butler makes the quick summation, works out the path to goal and takes it gleefully. Fine start.
Good call, Hutto. He worked out the path perfectly. So he took his time, he didn't panic, he looked at all the options and then realised he had space in front of him. Dan Hanbury involved a couple of times early in the game. Good to see him back out there, hopefully enjoying his footy. He'd be thrilled regardless of how many touches he's getting, but he had an important part to play in that. And then there's Hanbury. He all of a sudden realises he's got space, so he says, I'll run in, then I'll run out and give myself the angle. And a nice little hook around the corner, a good finish.
Matthew Pavlis downstairs.
Jack Higgins back onto the ground, so you got your wish there, Dwayne. Zach Jones still getting a little bit of treatment, but he looks ready to go in not too distant future. So good news for the Saints. Higgins back on and Jones ready to go down here at ground level.
Did you ever tell the runner you were hot, Pav? I might stay on for a little longer.
Pav did.
I don't think the runner
He didn't need to. No. 100% game time every week.
700 goals to go with his games record that's passed today by David Mundy. Streaming free Steele, long off hands, big crumb to win. Young's got it to Watson just in time and won himself a free.
Been a really good contest early between Stuart Membry and Griffin Logue. I reckon that's been absolutely... Tim Membry, I should say. I don't know why I said Stuart. Tim Membry, that's a designer label, wasn't it? I knew it somewhere in the memories. But they've had a couple of one-on-ones early and sort of 50-50 at the moment.
We'll tell where you shop. Spears it to half forward. Delightful kick. Taberner floats it and Croden's got it within range. And it's Croden to give the Dockers their first. And they need a nerve settler. No need to tell Fremantle fans, but if you're joining us as a neutral, Fremantle win and Essendon lose to Collingwood. Fremantle play finals. Fremantle lose this game and it's season over. They missed the 8. Croden struck that pretty well, and he normally does. Splits the middle.
What's the one they needed? That's the one they needed. Croden delivers. They had to get themselves into the contest because it just looked like St Kilda was starting to gain control. Playing on quickly, it opens up the ground and all of a sudden better use of the football. Players allowed to push into space. A good chip across to Croden and then he gives them the finish they needed. I like Collier up the ground.
Yeah,
the ball.
I like the kick in here from Taberner as well because St Kilda retreating, waiting for that long one to go deep. And that's what Pav was talking about earlier, is the fact that because Freo are rolling a number or two up to the contest, they've got their defenders back the same, so they keep bombing it in. It's going to be easy for them to intercept.
Zach Jones returns to the field, so thumbs up for him. Inside 50s, as you can see, have very much gone Fremantle's way, but it's taken them almost half a quarter to score their first goal. Croden's just his 5th goal for the year. Had 16 touches last week, got up the ground a little bit. And they're able to use good ball control out of the middle. Mundy, and then to Darcy. So it's probably not ideal that it's the ruckman taking the kick, but it worked out just fine. Sarong had a couple leading up into his face, and one of them is the ever hard-working Collier. He's got Taberner back deep. Plays it to the square. Can't quite get a run at it. Tracy was there as well, and Henry was lurking. But the Saints do the job in the end defensively.
He's done well, Webster, in this first quarter so far. He saved the day a couple of times for the Saints.
Hill. 54 games for Fremantle. Gave left some thought, heads right in the end, and it's a long kick just over the head of Darcy, who thought he was going to pounce on it. It floated on him, still gets it anyway. Higgins and Mundy. Now Butler had it, dropped it. Higgins caught high. Tried to play for a 50, didn't get that. And quick to play on, back to Hill. Straight down the spine, gets it inside 50. That's a good grab, just floating in Sharman. Little push and shove after.
Yeah, the Saints players realise that Banfield's going pretty hard to steal, so they're trying to stand up for their skipper. But the concerning thing for Fremantle at the moment is exactly what happened then. Free-flowing ball movement to a mark versus when they go inside forward 50. Generally, it's been the Saints defenders on top early.
It's a good kick out in front of him, wasn't it? Gave Sharman the opportunity to run and jump at the footy.
Mid-season draft pickup, former Giants Academy player. And that looked nice off the boot. Splendid off the boot. A little work of art there.
He's been good. He's had 3 excellent kicks in this game of footy. One that set up Jack Higgins for his first goal. One out of the back half, which was elite in the middle of the ground. And then you can see getting in the, finding the back of Pearce to roll off, which is every forward's dream. If you can find the back of your direct opponent to lead off, and created that couple of metre gap that was required. The kick was excellent. He had to be strong in the air, and he was, and then finished his nice work.
Cooper Sharman was the unused medical sub and what is notionally his debut, but since then it's been 2 goals each game, and he's been a really handy acquisition up forward. He's already hit the scoreboard today and played a part in another, as Jono said. So 10-point lead to the Saints. They're being ruthlessly efficient compared to Fremantle. Only early days, but so much at stake, as Dwayne said, for Fremantle. Not so much for the Saints, but they do want to finish the season on a positive note if they can, and they're getting it out of the middle. Ben Long back in the team this week. Can't quite get a handle on it, as Mundy was ever present, and he's the one that gets the decisive handball away. Bewley kicks towards Henry, but it really wasn't great service for him. Cleverino, I'm not quite sure what he's doing there, trying to make a hole out on the wing.
Made it look like he was making an effort to get rid of the ball.
Lloyd, you need to start that way.
So Meek getting some instructions.
Lloyd's telling the umpire where to go.
It's not great, Jono. The umpire has to tell you where to stand, is it? We'll have to learn about the game.
I actually think he had a point, though, with what he was telling the umpire, because he was saying to the umpire, now you're here,
Yep.
He's come to my side of the line. If you're going to have an imaginary line for the metre.
Another little chat there. So whoever gets position first, the other has to start a metre away.
Straight back over the line again. None of the spectators allowed to sit out on that hill. Modest crowd. Throw in. Meek gets the tap down. Sarong onto it immediately and delivers up to the 50. Tracy, who loves the physical stuff, came bouncing off McKenzie. Sarong, we know he can kick a big goal when it matters. Not on this occasion.
Good contest. Good contest. McKenzie and Tracy.
It was like Tracy saw, here's a chance for a bit of fun.
Switkowski inside. Croydon, time to have a good long look and still sprayed it.
Costly misses early. The Dockers, they've wasted some opportunities.
Had some games this year where they have done that, kicking themselves out of it.
Well, Dwayne, they've had 12-5 inside 50, so you can't say they're not creating the opportunities.
Howard trots into the back pocket. Hunter comes up. Can't quite grasp it. Higgins to Jones. Just gives them that extra grunt. They've worked the handball. Misplaced as it was from Sinclair. No damage done, although it did slow the progress. And Caulfield's kick didn't quite have the penetration it might have. Sharman over McKenzie, and we know he can dart and kick the ball a long way. Kent running one way, and Membry, they look at each other, looking in the mirror a bit, isn't it, as the ball is handball back to Sharman, and it slips over the line.
Been an impressive start from Sharman. He's been involved upfield. He's kicked a goal. He's set up a goal, and it speaks volumes for the mid-season draft, doesn't it? We're unearthing more players, getting more opportunities for players to come into the game and show us they belong.
Brayshaw, was that a high fend? No. Steele found a way to get to his feet, but escaping Brayshaw.
Yeah, good call by the ump. The arm of Brayshaw went over the top.
Yeah, I think Brayshaw explaining why it went over the top. Make your own mind up. The kick went in, but Pearce was on hand to take them up.
Gave playing on some thought, does play on, but it's short to Brayshaw. Inside kick made it tough for Young. Umpire called play on, it hit the grass, but it all works. The chaos. Walker to Mundy. Floats it to the leader, Tabata. Akers, inside kick. Croydon waiting for the crumb. Tracy knocked it to the front, though, and he ran to the back for the crumb. Hill gets on the end of the handoff from Marshall, and they're out. Jones looks up. He's got options long. Heads into the space. Higgins working hard. Landed like a cat, and he's off. Heads toward Membry. Good grab. Beyond his range. Needs a pass target. Butler's short. Pops it to the pocket, and that's too wide for everyone.
Disappointing finish to the ball movement from the Saints from their back half. The spoil on Tracy. Freo fans were probably thinking that he did have his arms chopped in that incident, but from there the Saints were able to go, and that's where Freo haven't been able to lock down that overlap run from St Kilda in this first quarter.
Saints by 8, even though the Dockers have had 2 more scoring shots.
Got a pretty strong breeze as well, the Dockers, at this point in time, as usual, to the right of screen down here at Hobart. But they do need to take the most of the opportunities. 13 inside 50s. They just haven't been able to connect with that final kick. And, of course, their accuracy, 18th in the season in the competition this year.
Yeah, what is the strength of the Bros, Pav?
I mean, a couple of goals. It's certainly favouring the right-hand side of screen. It's holding up, and I think the St Kilda players have definitely adjusted to it at their end a little better than the Freo defenders at this point.
8-point margin still with St Kilda. Marshall trying to add to that. Young, good contest in there with Bytel. Jones realising the enemy was close. Back to Bytel. It's a tough one to grasp for anyone. Sarong is springing up onto it. His hand pass went straight back to Long, who sends it deep towards full forward. Bit of push and shove, quite a bit of push and shove, as we've become familiar with. And the ball goes back over the boundary line again.
Good spot for a ball in for the Saints here. Set something up. Meek and Membry to do the ruck work, so Fremantle should have a slight advantage. It's a shortish throw in. Membry worked his way to the front. Logue paddled it, played for it, didn't get it. Kick around the body from Ross. He's way across the face and has failed to score, but that was a huge opportunity to add to this margin. A little bit of breeze blowing, as Matthew Pavlich said, and there's proof of it.
Aish bangs it up to the wing. It's a reasonably aggressive line, and Walker got a good read on that.
Oh, didn't get a good response from Sean Darcy, who waved his arms in disgust at the kick.
Oh,
wow.
Leicester was concentrating, though, able to affect the smother. And Collier got the legs going in just the right directions at the right time. Bit of space. Brayshaw starting to have more of a role, and he had his wits about him because Butler was on the hunt. Dockers able to get it out of there just. Ryan's kick back to the wing. Navarino ended up on the turf. Crouch ended up with a football, and now Sinclair can redistribute it as he sees fit.
There was another example of the Dockers forwards getting right up the ground, having to defend, but when Brayshaw got the ball, there was no one to kick to. So some of their half forwards just getting caught too far up the ground. They have to reposition to give them an option when they're going forward.
Ben Long also a bit worse for wear after that. Claverino. See how spread they are ahead. He kept it short to Marshall. Darcy's crept right over the mark there.
It's a better kick from Marshall.
Finds Sinclair. Movement came from Membry. It almost got through to Sharman. Now Watson with work to do, but he had help. Ryan. Oh. And he had to really quickly get it out towards the voice. He was in trouble otherwise. Watson can't wind his way through the path. And the Saints are so well set up at the moment. The Dockers have got no answer at the moment. They can't escape. Jones with a critical kick into the 50. Steele was so close to being able to hang on to the mark. Instead, it's Tucker that has to go to work. And again, disrupted on the way out. Maybe Young can change that.
Been an ugly minute. Bang! Like a steam train came at him. Great contest. Both players fine, and it was legal. Collier, in the maybe both players aren't quite fine yet. Short pass to Taverner.
Andy Brayshaw still feeling the effects. He's just getting up now. You can see bottom left of your screen. He's pretty sore. That was a big hit.
Yeah, it was a huge hit. Taverner. Wide ball, and Howard thumps it across the boundary, and we'll keep an eye on Andrew Brayshaw. Initially, he wanted to get up and make it seem as if it didn't hurt, but
straight in the ribs.
Yeah, he did. He actually did well to get his arm down to protect his ribs that were wide open with the high handball.
High floating hand pass, John. Yes. You're sitting under it and you know they're coming. Nothing you can do.
No.
So the hip and shoulder's not dead.
They need to, Pav's right, they need to work on their forwards at the moment and the setup that they do have once they get that long kick in.
Nudge out was nice from Akers. Kick a little wide though, and again, Webster, as Jono told you.
So that's typical of every entry at the moment. Yep. 3 on 1. Last one was 5 on 3. They're getting heavily outnumbered in their forward 50, the Dockers, and they've got to get the numbers squared up a little more to give themselves a chance.
McKenzie danced inside. Wilkie runs outside. Good ball movement this. Kent back towards Wilkie. Barreled away from it. Nicely picked up, and the free kick to Bewley. Stayed in the contest and ran them down. Turnover inside 2 minutes to quarter time.
Bewley.
There's Andy Brayshaw. The doctors checked him out. He's put his hand up. As you can see, he's ready to go.
Length on the kick, too much so. Carrying on the wind. It was well read by Sinclair. Back to the goal square to Webster. So this is a good job really for St Kilda, given the wind and the opportunities Fremantle have had to have an 8-point lead. Maybe an opportunity to build. If they can get it out of here, Steele seems to not particularly have that inclination. Happy to play it short at the moment, and it's all about ball control. Savarino to Crouch. And now to Higgins. Vital got out of his outstretched hands. Are always playing with fire a little bit. Bewley didn't have anyone to give it to immediately. Banfield, I should say. And Butler gets the clearing kick out to the wing. It turns on its end. Marshall was smart enough not to overcommit. And there might be a last chance here for St Kilda. Hanbury popped a little bit of treatment, but he gets up. And we'll look to send it forward. He hesitates. And plays it extremely wide. Out of bounds on the foot.
So Ryan told to go, had no choice, all the way back to Young, who has some space if he wants to use it, but the message has come out. A minute left. Pearce front on contact.
There's a blue on the wing.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Taverner and Marshall just saying hello to each other.
So it's 17 on 17 at the moment. Walker, as the seconds tick down.
Need to just bomb it in quickly.
Yeah, still got the chance, not anymore as he backpedals here. Took too long. Akers. So quarter time, Blundstone Arena in Hobart. Fremantle need to win and hope Essendon lose to Collingwood to play finals. Dockers lose, it's season over, and the Saints trying to win their final game of the season. They're to quarter time by 8.
Brayshaw had a word at quarter time to Hayden Young just to pump those handballs in a little bit harder, not loop them over the top.
So let's get into the second quarter. Hunter starting, and he's going to get a free kick against Sean Darcy. Set up kick up into a loaded 50. Pearce comes out to defend. It wasn't really spoiled. Logue, though, was in a good position to back up. Brayshaw had to try his best spin move, which he did to good effect. Dumped it with Mundy, who clears things back to the wing. Tough bounce for Tracy to try and contain. And Steele is really feeling it now. Aggressive Banfield.
But so strong, Hutto. So strong from Jack Steele to hold up in that contest the way that he did. He's been under pressure in this game. He still had 8 disposals in that first quarter, but that was strong. Attacked by 2 Freo opponents and held his own.
Banfield no doubt realised he's going to cop it. He certainly did last week from the West Coast Eagles with his mining of Tim Kelly, which he did a great job on. Free kick goes back to Tracy. So getting well up the ground. Again, plays it wide. Meek really didn't get close to it. Mark not paid nor free kick, but they have the support at ground level. Hill's kick is wide, 2-on-1 against Kent. And the Dockers get it safely over the line.
Competed well there. Dan Kent had 2 to beat. And neutralised it. Hunter and Darcy. Darcy got it, but Hunter got him. Hanbury squeezed it to half forward. Higgins tracked it. He was hoping to pick it off. Ryan, kick half smothered, and again, Kent neutralises it. We'll get a ball in.
It was Crouch that time. He was the one who just closed that space with speed, didn't allow Freo to exit, and they keep the ball locked in close to their 50.
Darcy edges out Hunter. Pushed in the back or on the buttock on the kick, so no push in the back by Tell. Back inside 50. Big pack. Floats to Young. Got his arms free. Found a gap. Parted the seas. Gave it to Walker. Hands off to Aish. Not a lot to go to by foot. Had to fake and go by hand in the end. Not a bad option because he at least kept possession and waited, but there was still nothing forward for the kick. And Webster again continues this good year.
They've got to hit the little options, Freo. Every time they kick long, they're getting picked off. They're kicking to outnumbered scenarios. Got to get players leading up at the footy and hit that little chip pass.
Well, it was 1-on-1 ahead, but Tucker came off his man and stepped in nicely. Finds Brayshaw. Now, find a method. Back to Logue. Just going for a bit of a Sunday stroll. Up to the wing. It didn't come off the right part of the boot. Hill maybe got chopped. Play on the call. Steele to McKenzie. Now Hill again. Took a bounce, which wasn't particularly necessary, but gives it off to Steele, and they go straight to the top of the square. Oh, Logue's done incredibly well to get a finger to that without giving away the free. Higgins wanted one from the umpire, so Logue, 2 efforts, saved the day single-handedly, really, for Fremantle. It's not over yet. Hanbury.
I think
it is now.
I think Griffin Logue wanted to make up for that kick.
Yeah, I'm with you, Pav.
It's a shocking kick coming out of defence.
It was. It's often the way, if you just sort of wander out, you don't use it well. You've got some urgency in your game, you use the footy well. With it also, he made up for it though.
It was a clever spoil because he wasn't looking at the footy. He was looking at the hands of the St Kilda player and just swiped his fist across the top of them to spoil the ball.
Intensity's been up from both teams from the outset. Brett Ratton's second full season as coach. High expectations this year after finishing 5th last year. As I mentioned, there's been some push and shove and some spice in it.
And this is where most of the spice is, Dwayne. Steele and Banfield just continue to go at it. Other players getting involved at every stoppage that's going on.
Banfield winning that little battle, and he finds Mundy on the march. And he doesn't want to waste it either.
No,
So
they've got to get the ball in the hands of the players that make good decisions and can execute well.
tight ropes the boundary. It's very, very wide and well read by Howard. And he's claiming he deserves 50. It was knocked from his grasp. Umpire says no.
Thanks, Paul.
I think you saw the effect of the wind there, the kick dropping short, able to be picked off.
Just his third disposal.
Play on.
And Sharman had hands wrapped around it, but not for long enough.
Play on.
Kent Taken to ground, and Brayshaw quickly into his move again. Meek, they surrounded him. Higgins to Steele. He's got one high from Banfield. He'll enjoy that, Jack Steele.
Well, he'll enjoy to kick this. You
Yep.
watch what happens if he kicks this. It'll be either they all go at Banfield, or they put pressure on him, or they get around the skipper in Jack Steele. There's been a bit of spice in that contest. Jack Steele's well in front at the moment, though.
Polled 20 Brownlow votes last year. It was interchanged in the All-Australian team. No doubt headed for back-to-back best and fairest, Jack Steele. Having said all of that, it doesn't even go close. And Meek jackals it over. So there was no extra celebration.
No, there wasn't.
Hunter and Meek to go at the right contest. Again, it falls a little short. Meek, Aish, Ryan just pumps it out of there. Taberner, well, he didn't go for it in the end. He stayed down. Collier spins out of a jam, throws it to Darcy. Taberner made something of it to Mundy. He spears his way through the traffic beautifully. Croydon, Brayshaw. Croydon's hurt now. Goes back to Taberner to go forward. Spears that down the line. Howard, nice knock to Wilkie. And they're out here if they want to go. Ross realises he can go. Croydon's still slow to get up. Long had time to lick his hands and then go for it. And then he blasted inside 50. Early lead. How good is Sharman looking? A little bit of hang time.
That is a huge grab from Sharman. 3v1.
It was good judgment. Again, they're kicking with the wind this time, St Kilda, so the ball carries a little further than everyone thinks it's going to.
Just game 5. Moved to Melbourne to study after being part of the Giants Academy. Moved to Adelaide to essentially get drafted. And the 21-year-old, to finish off his good work, spears that straight through the middle to mass celebration.
It's been an impressive game so far from Sharman. Everything that he's touched has turned into a really positive result for the St Kilda Footy Club. And this is another example here where they were able to get the ball, switch it well so they could continue to move it quickly with the breeze. And that didn't allow Fremantle to set up defensively. Although they had numbers around the contest, if that ball comes to ground, you look at Higgins and Kent were in the perfect position to clean it up with all Freo defenders going for it in the air. But in the end, Sharman was just too strong.
He's got his 2 goals already.
2 goals, set one up as well.
Beautiful, relaxed kicking style when he's shooting for goal.
So they found one late in the season. Plenty of injuries to Saints, so that has given opportunity. This is a margin that is dangerously getting away from Fremantle if they don't respond. Wiskowski goes to work. He made them jump, and now he can do his own little jig. That's a fine goal.
And you know what the big difference is here for Freo? Because it was a centre bounce, they had 6 forwards. Finally, they've got an even number ahead of the football because their structure is broken at the moment. They cannot win unless they make a couple of adjustments. He's got some work to do at half-time, Justin Longmuir. But when you've got even numbers, you're a chance of winning the 50-50s. That's what they were able to do, and that's why they kick a goal.
He did well to get Caulfield off his feet here. You can see the fake, the jump, all over.
He left Nick Caulfield grasping at thin air.
He's thinking, oh no, trouble.
Yeah, brilliant sell.
Because every now and then as a player you do something you think, I wonder how stupid that looked.
Back to an 8-point margin. Marshall, Darcy resume hostilities. Sarong paddles it to his own advantage. Had some room to move, heads to Walker, pops the pass, turns it over. Steele, he turns it over. Croydon, Tucker. Bounced it past Banfield, good enough to get on it. But now he's turned it over to Marshall. Wing tackle, dragged down the...
Oh, he threw it out.
Threw it out.
Threw it out.
Had a chance. Brayshaw stole it from his grasp. Heads top of the square. Switkowski trying to do it all again. Webster ruined the party. Wide from Caulfield, and then Steele to Sinclair. Spins out of a jam, and a nice fake from Jones. Gets him out of trouble. To Bytel. Into some space. Crouch. Sinclair the runner. Has a bounce. Doesn't want to waste it. Flicks it over the top. Kent. Plenty of room to move. And he pumps it. He might have got it there. All the way home. Kicks a ripper.
Well, it's back half run again. Pav highlighted this at quarter time, and the fact they're able to sort of get that ball from the back half of the ground, run it through with hands into the good ball user. Sinclair has just been awesome all year in that role, running off half back, getting through the wing position as well, and just his smarts to identify the next best opponent to give, teammate to give it to. He gets it in the hands of Dean Kent, who sets this ball up, but the wind takes it.
Well, it's a great run from behind, as you say, Jono, but it's exacerbated by the fact that Freo are one of the worst pressure teams in the competition. So if St Kilda are prepared to keep possession, run and create, they'll get opportunities like that all day.
Dean Kent playing his 7th game for the season. Kicking his 4th goal. 2 goals to the Saints as the breeze continues to blow, maybe even blows a little harder. 2 goals to 1 in this quarter. So wrong dump by Jones. Hanbury onto the loose ball. McKenzie knew where Hill was going, made the adjustments. Hanbury has it again. His kick out wide. Marshall had to wait for it to bounce. And then Crouch with a kick. Oh, Higgins was trying to take mark of the year. Maybe put the hands in the back and a few more. It's going to take something pretty good to get mark of the year this year.
But
good luck selecting mark of the year.
It's the kind of season where you just keep getting amazed.
Young just pops it up into the breeze. Mundy, Sarong knew he was about to be tackled straight away.
Yeah, their ball movement's really being held up, isn't it? The Dockers out of this back half. That breeze is picking up a little bit, so certainly favouring the end. The Saints are kicking, but they're all at sea at the moment, the Dockers, with their ball movement, particularly from their back half.
A provisional place in the 8 and in the finals on the line for the Dockers. They've got to get moving. This clicks a little better, but the handball from Sarong really put Mundy at a disadvantage, and now Tucker has to go and hunt himself. Collier trying to be decisive and get them going. Runs straight into Crouch. They bust through the first tackle. Young found a way to get the ball, but Crouch was ready to return the favour. And the umpire decides to get us into his own hands. So 5 straight St Kilda, the virtue of straight kicking. Blind handball out from Crouch, hoping Marshall could get onto it. A long sleeve ace, and then Mundy was looked like he was about to handball into the second row there. Just pulled up.
Dockers, as we talked about, still a contender to play finals. The Saints at 12th. They'll jump Fremantle on the ladder if they win this. They'll finish, well, there's still a chance to finish just percentage outside the 8, the Saints, and let's get something from their year. Some hope that next year could bring better. Collier at full speed.
He's the one
for his own legs.
He's the one that's looked most likely for the Dockers. He had a good first term. He created, he made things happen.
Claims it was not his intention to hold it between his legs. Caulfield's got it.
He was in possession, but he never had possession, if that makes sense.
Caulfield given some room to move. They don't come at him hard. Another big pack flies. Marshall tried to thread the handle through the eye of the needle. Tried to thread it through Walker, who won't be walking for a while. Little knockdown and a holding. St Kilda free to steal.
That was a hand pass straight into the crown jewels. He just went straight down. No.
Long's got to be careful.
Yeah.
Don't want to give that one away.
He walks the fine line.
He does.
On quite a few occasions.
Especially when your captain's got the ball.
And you've been in and out of the team this year.
Yep.
And there's some history.
So Jack Steele to push this margin to the biggest margin of the game, 20 points. And he can't bend that back enough. So
Couple of
goal
chances now.
opportunity missed.
Yeah, he's had 2 in this quarter, Jack Higgins.
This is just a hand pass you don't want. Oh, cop that.
Crowd yell out, ball!
Harder.
15 points the margin. Watson searching. Can they find a market away forward? Taberner right up the ground. Banfield, Bewley, Taberner again gets involved in the chain. Now Ryan smacks the kick up to the wing. They've got an extra number or 2 at ground level. Here they go. Henry. Eyes up through the middle. It wasn't the most precise kick, so Tucker luckily had a bit of time and liberty of some space as well. And he finds Meek, and Crowden was screaming for it. Akers tucks into the pocket. That's where it's headed. Hill knew it was coming, though. Sinclair came to his assistance, and now they can work the short stuff to try and get it out of there.
Well, we could all see Crowden on the vision, and that's exactly what Meek had to do, was just go quickly, get it on to Crowden, who would have been able to run into an easy shot.
Oh, Jones got himself into an ever-diminishing circle, but just found a way of escaping out of there, and now it's McKenzie with the footy at half-back. So just 3 goals for the quarter, 2 goals, 1 for the Saints, 1 goal for Fremantle, and as we alluded to, Jack Steele's had a couple of opportunities, so the margin could even be greater, despite the fact that Fremantle are the ones on the scoreboard who have 2 goals for, to the Saints 5-1. They have possession. Sarong to Lowe. Where to next? Whatever you can do, and that was to Pearce. Again, unable to handle it cleanly, but did enough. Brayshaw and Mundy involved, and now Walker, he's recovered and delivers to Henry. That'll make him feel better.
Oh, they've been crying out for someone to deliver the ball like that going forward, and also to have a great option coming straight at the footy. So terrific to see that link up, that combination there, and now they get an opportunity to kick a goal against the run of play at the moment.
So Liam Henry, an undoubted talent, still a very low possession player at this stage. He's played 16 games this year, 9 goals, 8. Highly skilled young man, and he delivers, although it's falling short into the breeze. So it wasn't a problem with the line, it was the length.
Well, Pav told us it had picked up, and I think that gives you a great example there, because that ball's only gone 40 metres.
He didn't kick through it, though, did he? He just sort of looked to guide that one through. You really need to punch it into that breeze. A bit of an update down here. Sean Darcy is headed down to the room, so concerns there for the Dockers ruckman.
Wow, that could be massive for their final chances if he can't take any further part in it. And Meek.
Well, here's an opportunity.
Marshall.
Yep, he got his hands to a few early, Meek. He was unable to hang on to them. But he can make a contribution here by kicking a critical goal.
Yep, and needs to. Marshall's been dominant for the Saints in this game so far. His spread from the contest has been a lot better than what Meek and Darcy have been able to do as a combination.
It's amazing how the game can turn on little moments. Steele had a chance to make the margin 20 points. Meek could have pulled it back to 9, and he misses. So both teams shooting themselves in the foot in this second term.
Hill with the breeze, takes it almost to the logo. Beautifully judged by Young. Just stood his ground. He's become their best intercept marker since his return to the team.
This is where they've had trouble, though. Just bombing it hasn't worked for them.
Places it to even numbers, gives Taberner a chance, but back at you, Claverino takes the grab. Frustrating afternoon so far for Longmuir.
Yeah, a few headaches in that box, Hutto, and they need to make some decisions at halftime about how they're going to move the football and structure up.
Young tried to repeat the dose, but Sharman beat him to it. Contested marks, as you can see, 6-2 in favour of St Kilda as they press again. Higgins onto it, little shake to get rid of Pearce, and then brings Hanbury back into the game, fires the handball to Membry, kept them guessing, he trusts his left, they're fully loaded, out comes Lowe, Jones, bit of a loose handball, Collier. By Tell claiming that he's dragged it in, but that's not how the umpire saw it. Still working on Darcy down there.
Yeah, Sean Darcy's come back up from the rooms. You can see that left leg's strapped to the max with lots going on. It's hard to identify exactly if it's the knee that he's had some issues with or the calf or Corky. We'll let you know as soon as we get some more details.
Young wraps up Higgins. Young with that 3-finger glove. 3 fingers out of the glove, cut out of the glove. Probably because it helps you feel the ball onto your boot a little better. It doesn't stick. Interesting decision to go with. Kent throws that up past Hanbury. Crowden came down, made a contest, beeline the ball, flicks it out wide, didn't quite work, and have the mop up his mess. Towed away to Hill. Butler through Kent. The ricochet. Meek shrugged one, not the second. Bytel wrapped him up, holding the ball.
Well, their own worst enemy at the moment, Fremantle. Yes, St Kilda's pressure has been high and a lot better, but just the easy, basic skill errors by hand. Coming out, missing it, the ball hitting the ground, puts their teammate under pressure, and that just invites the pressure from the opposition. So St Kilda have been able to really capitalise on the fact of Fremantle just not using the ball well at all. And we're not talking under pressure, we're talking in open space.
So game 16 for Jack Bytel, back into the lineup, never kicked an AFL goal. So a big moment for him and the Saints and the context of Fremantle's season. A bit riding on this, and he drives that home with style. Gets his first ever.
Well, he's done there well. He's done well there, Jack Bytel. Big finish, first goal in footy, as you said. It's always a great moment. Big tackle, bring down the ruckman from the opposition, and then go back and nail the opportunity. He's had some good moments throughout this year, Jack Bytel. I think he's learned a lot. He's got his body right. He's got fitter again. He had some issues with injury. Well done.
So takes the margin to 20 points. Luke Dunstan left out of the team this week. Brett Ratton suggesting they just wanted to get a bit more footy into Jack Bytel. He was picked 41 back in 2018. He underwent back surgery at the start of 2019, so it took a little while for him to get going. Let's hope he gets that continuity going forward. Now, what have we got here?
It's Fremantle, so 666. I'm going to throw this one up.
So it's a throw. It's the warning only. The margin out to 20 points. Still 4.5 minutes for the Saints to utilise this breeze. Meek with the tap, but Jones immediately onto it and eyes up, sends it through Bytel. He took a step too many. Brayshaw, who is Fremantle's leading tackler, shows why.
Yeah, and with this, he'll become their equal leading possession getter as well with 14. He's worked hard in the first half, Andrew Brayshaw.
Just the 2 tackles today. But, that's an outstanding leap from Webster.
Gee, their foot skills have been atrocious. So they're kicking at 56%, Freo.
Hand and foot.
He has pumped that one up into the breeze, and, well, Ryan jumped way too early, and it lands nicely for Membry.
This is starting to look very, very disorganised, Jono, from a Dockers perspective, for a team that's playing for a spot in the finals, with the opportunity to play finals at least. They are putting in a very ordinary performance.
But the expectation from your teammates, Brayshaw's got that ball, you expect him to hit that next one. Yep. So you start to move from that a little bit. The easy turnover and the quick turnaround from St Kilda is just catching them out of position.
Tim Membry steps forward. He knew where to put it because he'd seen the previous kick from Bytel, but I think he might have overcompensated a little bit there. Pushed it a bit too far to the left. So they haven't completely taken their chances, although they might get another one here on the re-entry. It got away from Young. He's tried to recover. Kent onto it. And the umpire decides that it'll be a ball up.
The only saving grace for the Dockers, as poorly as they've played, is they're only 20 points down, 21 points now. So the game's not done on the scoreboard, but they've got a lot of readjusting to do, and they've got to start playing a hell of a lot better.
Slammed out of the area in hope. Flick on, Switkowski pursues it. Catches Wilkie. He didn't slam him into the deck. He was cautious with the rolling tackle.
Jason, it's like there's a number of the Fremantle players playing at the level they did last week, at the intensity, with the skill, execution. Then there's another half that just haven't come down here to Tassie yet. They're waiting to wake up.
Yes.
Hanbury slick to Crouch. Heads to the pocket. And just as Higgins was about to pounce. Ryan got there ahead of him.
Well, it is a very early start for them, Pav.
Yeah, the 2-hour time difference is costly. But look, there's no excuse. There was an AFL Finals opportunity on the line. They're going to get moving quickly.
Starting to sense a bit of frustration from Pav too. Watching it at close hand.
He might give them an address on the way off. I think there's an opportunity for him. Darcy back out there. That's good news. Pearce a clearing kick, but for how long? Tracked all the way to the line by Wilkie. Do you still have that right, Pav, as the former games record holder?
No, I don't, of course not. I'm out of the game. Look, and credit to the Saints, the way that they've tackled and used the ball. It's really impressive from St Kilda, but Fremantle just not the level that needs to be going at this point in time.
He mightn't say anything, Pat. He might just give them the glare as they go off. That might be enough.
I think he'll be pretty angry.
Yeah, I think he will. Matthew Boyd is offside. John, an old teammate of yours.
Yeah, what a legend.
Worked with him at Collingwood and struck up a pretty good friendship and working relationship. So he's in the box these days for the Dockers. Darcy hampered, as we've seen. Oh, Brayshaw cops another one, this time from Ben Long again.
He was a little unlucky, Ben Long, because Brayshaw spun out with his head down straight into the oncoming Long.
But that's going to happen on the odd occasion as well. When you're playing, look, Crouch is closing with speed. Long comes to support.
Yep.
It's going to happen on the odd occasion. It's the efforts that's there, though. It's the mentality to want to close up with speed and power to stop the opposition.
Low, he's blasted that one. It is a unique ground. I'm not trying to make excuses for Fremantle, because not like the Saints have played here much, but they don't seem to have come to terms with how to play this ground so far.
Saints' first game in Tasmania for 2 years, and as we mentioned earlier, last time these two teams met in Tasmania, it was the Siren Gate game. Flies go up. Logue the crumb. Spun 360. Got it to Watson. Handed to Young. Short pass Collier.
He looked corridor, and that's what you've got to do at this ground, Hutto. We've seen North Melbourne play here on a number of occasions. They get it back. That kick there comes back corridor, and then you're away. You can actually score quite quickly.
It almost would have found someone who used to work for North Melbourne to be a consultant for the week, I reckon.
That's it.
Bewley down the line. Meek got up there. Landed, got his own crumb. Handed to Mundy. Tried to feed it inside. Sinclair knew exactly what he was planning to do. Steele, Webster, Hill. Might be a roll of the dice for the Saints here. Caulfield takes off. Puts the Jets on. Caught. Might be a turnover. Is a turnover. Now, can Taberner get the range here? The breeze in his face a little.
That's 50 metres.
Breeze might be a worry. And they can finish this term with a goal and maybe get their mojo back.
That's the type of pressure from Sam Sulkowski. I think most of the other Docker forwards need to take a leaf out of his book, and also Josh Tracy, the ability to pressure and really get the ball off the opposition.
So cuts the margin back from the goal line, and still a chance to add to that before the half.
Well, the 50-metre was paid. I think it was Crouch who went to man the mark from the arm. Here's the pressure Pav was talking about. It's a great chase from Sulkowski. So therefore the mark was taken just outside 50. Oh yeah, there you go. So he's crept 3 metres in front of the mark. Has Crouch. So it was picked up by the umpire there. He didn't call him back at all. Just
sometimes they do give a bit of latitude on that.
They do. But generally that latitude is given if the player's not too far away from where it was. Crouch was a good couple of metres in front of where that mark was taken from Taberner.
Oh, it's costly, whatever the case, and it does give them that little bubble of hope. 15 points, a lot more manageable, and there's still 56 seconds maybe for another. 3 goals, 2 to 2-1 for the term, so not disastrous given they've got the breeze at the back. And Meek charging out of the middle. Big fella, let's see his touch. Not so good. And Caulfield steps in. There's another Fremantle casualty going to ground.
Yeah, Sulkowski just has really fallen over. He's in significant pain. You could see after that tackle he was in discomfort before the next centre square bounce, but he's in serious pain.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Literally, as the Saints move the ball forward, and Jones has 23 seconds as he releases the kick into the pocket. And Long, Watson, Hunter. Watson knew what was about to happen. If he would take possession, he was going to be tackled, but there was not much else he could do. So there is the seriousness of that situation with Switkowski. We'll get back to try and work out exactly what's happened as Meek knocks that straight over the boundary on the full.
50-50.
No.
Thanks, Tim.
So initially, if the tap goes on the full, it can be deemed as out of the full, but the umpires can overrule. Meek gets the tap. Still up for grabs. Seconds only. And one thing we hope is the umpires hear the siren. They did. It's still bubbling over here. Bailey Banfield is the subject. On a number of occasions, Fremantle, with their season literally on the line, are 15 points down at halftime. But we know to expect the unexpected. Pretty distressing scenes with Sam Switkowski. We'll get more on that when we return.
Stanza.
I probably thought the adjustment that we made from the first quarter to the second, with the wind and against it, both quarters. But I thought our tackle pressure was pretty good. Yeah. Maybe about 6 minutes there, we started to break those tackles and started to get a look. Their run and carry, and then their hit up. We've got to deny that, and that'll be critical.
What about the breeze? It is pretty tricky. What are you saying to the players, particularly when you're going with it this quarter?
I think just more about what we're trying to do as a team. It's completely different. It's probably 3 or 4 goals. You're going to get a good look at this end, and you're going to have to be pretty much on your game the other end to make the most of your opportunities, and that's the critical part. And the back half movement's impressive as well from your team. Yeah, I think Sinclair and Hill and those boys have really got in, amongst it a fair bit, and it's good to see Caulfield use his legs and run at the game. Yeah, there's been a couple of errors in that, but that's the pleasing aspect to it. Thanks for your time. All the best. No worries. Thanks, mate. Thanks.
Brett Ratten hoping his Saints can end the season in style. Second full season as coach of the Saints for Brett Ratten. 46 games coached, 23 wins, 23 losses. So a 50% record for Brett Ratten, which he carries in overall. 166 coached, 83 wins, 82 losses and a draw. And you add his record with Carlton. And as you can see, Switkowski out of the game. So the sub, Joel Weston, into the game for the Dockers.
Yes, it's a huge quarter for Fremantle. Can they make their move with the breeze at their back and give themselves a chance of playing finals football? Meek knocks it out to Mundy, trying to carve a path, being watched carefully by Bytel. Steele jumped on the ball, coughed it up though. Henry pounced, as you saw. Along got at the handball, out wide to Aish. Into the pocket, and Taverner couldn't quite grasp, but Wilkie the first to recover. Banfield trying to bench press off Hill, but didn't really do it with much success. And Hill's going to end up having the last laugh as he gets the kick off half back, although it certainly didn't go where it was designed to. It's giving it back from either side at the moment. Kent got some clear space. Hanbury, not perfect, but still finds his man, and Membry, same. Sits there for Butler, thought about it long and hard, and they're always a step ahead. It made it a little more difficult, but the job was done by Higgins. Not perfect, but it's Higgins' second goal. And the Saints into the breeze stretch the lead to 21 points.
Well, again, it was on turnover where they were able to get it through. Long was pretty impressive in that passage of play right at the beginning of it as well. And look, it wasn't great there from Hill, but it ends up working out because he closes up their effective tackle, and then Kent gets involved in the handball chain. And then Butler's away in the middle of the ground. He's able to run through Freo's defence with no one going near him. And then the time and space to get it back into Marshall. And they're just chasing tail here, Fremantle. Weren't able to get back quick enough and put any pressure whatsoever on the Saints.
So Fremantle's entire season might come down to this third term. They've got the breeze. They've got to use it, and use it now. 21 points the margin. Ball slammed into the deck. Meek waited. Hunter went. Sarong goes and gets, and they get him. Lost possession. Steele jumps in to tie it up.
So it looks like there's been a bit of a move. It looks Bailey Banfield has gone to Brad Hill, and Sarong and Steele are now just going head-to-head in the centre of the ground.
Well, flicked past a couple of them. Henry came in hard, gave it to Sarong, bangs it inside 50. Ugly bounce for Sinclair, and Collier had it, lost it, went back, got it, and missed. Huge moment wasted.
It's one of the few times the Dockers have had extra numbers running forward into the attacking 50 with the footy. Probably should have made more of it, but an encouraging sign, getting some numbers running in attack.
Risk averse on the way in for St Kilda at the moment. Oh, slight fumble, opened the door, but Sinclair with the back up. Gets a little more adventuresome, a bounce, and then his target is Steele, slipped into the mark. He wanted to move it, then just steadied. Saw it was on the horizon. Bewley gets taken, but the ball kept moving. That was the important thing. Ryan looking to find the inside. In the end, he has to submit and kick deeper and wider than he would have liked. And Sinclair has had an excellent season for St Kilda. There's danger of that kick, though, for Jones. Made life tougher than it needed to be. Brayshaw, eyes darting, and he's got one high again.
Oh, he nearly turned himself into trouble. A little bit lucky there.
Yep.
But now they've got to make something of it. It's an opportunity, probably down breeze, to kick the goal. And they desperately need it.
Brad Hill having an extra conversation with his old teammate there.
Well, Hayden Young had positioned himself then to get a handball received.
Just nudges it across the ground.
That's interesting downwind. He didn't back himself to make the distance, Brayshaw, from there. He's, you know, very good angle, almost in front.
We saw Dean Kent in that second quarter from the point of the square launch it.
So young Brandon Walker hasn't kicked a goal in AFL football.
15 gone.
Well, that's secondary right now, though, because his team needs it more than anything. Got close to the man on the mark, and he continues the trend of the Dockers today by missing by a fair way.
And distance wasn't the issue. Sent that through post high. Webster pumps it out, gets plenty on it. Good attempt from Marshall, lays the tackle on Pearce. Sarong's lifted his rate. Little poke past Pearce. Bewley told to go, had to go. Tried to flick it to Henry, didn't work for him. Little fumble from Steele, clever enough to get it back. And Jones off and running, spears his way through the middle of them. Hill flicks it over the top to Kent, straight down the spine, that travel. Higgins, normally a wise user, goes long, goes for home. Membry, goal square mark. And the margin about to be blown out to the biggest it's been all afternoon. He can make it 25 points and make this really dangerous for Fremantle's season. And Essendon fans watching this right now would be pretty happy with the way it's transpiring. Fremantle lose, they play finals.
Yep, been some exciting stuff from the Saints when they've been able to basically run and gun it from half back. They've done as they've pleased, and it's highly unlikely they're going to be playing finals footy, the Dockers. But one thing they've got to work on before next year, John, if they don't figure out that pressure's a big part of this game, they're going to be in all sorts of trouble. If you can't pressure the opposition, you're not going to win games, not enough games.
Or absorb it with...
Look at that. Look where the runners come from behind the ball.
Yep.
7 goals from the defensive half.
They are extraordinary numbers. Fremantle have got to find their own path forward right now, as well as subduing the Saints. Crouch. Brayshaw did well, stripped him of the footy. Crowden getting his opportunities in the middle. Steele just hesitated for a moment. Crouch couldn't do much with it. Banfield slapping it forward, but Caulfield was able to defend Weston on the ground, as we saw. Dockers took care of each other, and that left a clear path for Kent, and he's off with 2 bounces. Steele kept on running, almost close enough. Steele was untouched, doing the full 360.
What you saw there, Hutto, was a man that's missed his first 2 shots for goal. He had no intention of shooting for goal. Any midfielder worth his salt would have been pinging away from there, but he's had a couple of bad misses, and he was desperate for any other option. As good a player as he is, did not want to take the shot.
Which is surprising. He's kicked 13-7 going in this year, so there's been nothing wrong with his goal kicking. Tim Membry, on the other hand, actually a career low accuracy of 45%, but he is generally a beautiful kick of the football.
Good, Moz.
Not always. As I said, his lowest goal accuracy of his career.
Boys, we've been singing the praise of the Saints from the defensive half. They've actually had a season high 24 points from defensive 50, so highlights that fact. The Freo Dockers just need to put a lot more pressure on in their forward 50. Jace, you highlighted that it hasn't been a feature this year, but to the Saints' credit, they have just run and gunned and used the ball so beautifully from their back half today.
Yeah, that's been the problem when the ball hits the deck in Freo's forward 50. St Kilda have been able to mop it up, pick and choose how they want to run it out under no pressure.
Yep, the Freo forwards have been too high throughout the entire game.
Yeah, and they haven't altered that structure, Jono. They've allowed that to happen. Now that's either the wrong message coming from the box, or players just getting sucked up, ball watching, searching for easier kicks and not playing their role properly.
Caulfield sends it inside 50, and Marshall, good grab on the back pedal as he took it. And he can ram this advantage home with a third Saints goal in a row.
He's getting a good lesson, big Lloyd Meek, isn't he? He's playing against a very accomplished ruckman. It's going to be a great learning curve for him.
7 goals, 4 for the year for Rowan Marshall. Better than 50-50 career, 34 goals, 30. Looks good off the boot, just drifts a little into the post.
They're hanging by a thread, the Dockers, at the moment.
Yes, it's a very thin thread, isn't it? Being stretched to fragmented. Weston's kick is intercepted by McKenzie. He is a big kick. He made it even tougher for himself. Didn't even take it on towards full forward. That time, Membry was denied. He's got pace, this young man, Joel Weston, a product of Fremantle's Next Generation Academy. Sure on display there. They crash and take each other out. They clear the path for Taberner. And speaking of pace, Henry's on the runway. He's had a bounce. He's got himself set and finally shows them how to hit a target.
Well, they're in the game because of the scoreboard, Jono.
Yep, he's had some good moments, Henry. Latter part of the second quarter, the start of this quarter here, Banfield just skittles them.
Cleared the way beautifully, didn't it?
Didn't it? But it's the first time they've had support at that next contest, the next player in being a Freo player. And then Henry was able to create that handball receive off the back of it. He knew what he was doing. He knew what speed he had to go to keep that distance on McKenzie.
Good news for the Dockers is there's a ton of time left.
It's a good finish because it's not easy to kick when you're running at full speed or close to full speed, and he was motoring. He does have a high cruising speed.
Yeah, a little steadying step. He knew he had to make sure of the kick. 21 points the margin. Again, Fremantle with the use of the breeze in this term. Meek stays down. Crouch off the deck. Croden goes and gets Aish. And they're inside 50 again. Wide ball this time. Taberner attacks it. Left it for Akers. Opens it up, top of the square. Good attack, Darcy. And he handed that straight to Caulfield for some reason. Coughed it up to Caulfield. Crouch. Jones.
All the
slows
time. In the world.
Mesmerised them all and finds Higgins on the marks. That was bizarre.
Higgins well up the ground to lend a hand and finds Webster.
This has been symptomatic of the Dockers' day. The inability to create pressure in their forward 50. And he had an eternity, Zach Smith, to work out what he wanted to do. Zach Jones.
Pearce Tried to get by hand, then had to follow up. Crowden needs a hand. Great tackle from Crouch. He's rewarded the free kick. McKenzie marched off before you know it. They're at half forward. Higgins had to wait awkwardly. Sharman just got it onto the boot. Did what he had to do. Membry on the charge. Young cuts back the other way. Can he give them something off halfback? Over to Watson. They straddle the boundary line. It pitches in front of Banfield, and Hill, his direct opponent, sees it out. Prolific ball winner for Fremantle is Brad Hill, but in his 2 years at St Kilda, it's been problematic at times for him. Hasn't been able to find that same form with high expectations. Hanbury, leading clearance player for the Saints today, which is a good sign. That was not his best kick, and Logue gets in on the act. Griffin Logue.
Leave it on. Play on.
Team bereft of anything crafty, so it's just down the line. Went for Meek, fisted strongly back from where it came, almost for Tim Membry.
You called it well, Hunter. He was bereft of options, and at some stage, and the clock's starting to tick, at some stage Freo have got to throw caution to the wind and play a more aggressive brand and actually try to make something happen. You're better off getting beaten by a bigger margin than just letting this play out the way it is.
And the tackle pressure, Jace, 41-30. It's also the missed tackles that Fremantle have had. So aggressive in the contest, but aggressive with the ball movement as well. They need to go.
Yep.
Hand off to Jones. He pulled the kick late, missed his target, ricocheted to Aish, gave it to Crowden under immense pressure. Aish nearly caught, threads the handball through. Sarong, he tried to dance around long, didn't work. McKenzie steals it back again, turned it back over though to Crowden, bombs it. Good attack from players both sides. Howard got there, gave it to Wilkie, hands it to Webster, and he finds Caulfield. They've got all the answers for the Saints, and on this score they'll jump Fremantle on the ladder to end the season. Not only just stop Fremantle from playing finals. Claverino, who's enjoyed his afternoon, and he finds Crouch in space.
Spectators on that side getting plenty of action. Sharman gets the kick up into the 50. Pearce has got a half a metre on Membry. Logue and Hunter. He got a dead set shove. Not in the back, according to the umpire. So the margin still sits at 21 in this third quarter. In fact, the match not panning out as Fremantle would have hoped. Big shot in the arm last week after winning the Derby, but sometimes it's hard to come up after a big occasion like that. Shouldn't be with so much on the line. Pearce, Sarong. Trust that left boot. Good length on the kick as he got a target. Darcy was there, but he's hampered at the moment. Tracy gets into the thick of it, and he's been penalised.
Well, he's had a tough day. He's had one possession, been unable to get involved at all, and not from lack of trying, but it just hasn't worked for him.
Long off to Webster. Long on the kick into the breeze too. Good target, Membry. An immediate barrier though was Watson. The ball jarred loose. The umpire said keep playing. Collier with a quick reflex handball. Young tries to fight the fight, matched by Steele. Interception was excellent from Brayshaw. And then Akers plays his part and they can work their way forward. Here's Henry, maybe got a bit of a burst of life after that last goal.
Takes on the inside kick.
Good option.
Nicely delivered to Watson. Aish in space. Who does he want? Floats it longer, hoping for Darcy. And the closing speed of Howard. He's hobbled at the moment.
Just the decision making there with Aish. He had Weston for the short. Just take the short, take the easy one with the breeze as well. Weston would have been having a shot from 50. He goes to the one-on-one behind with a high floater, which allowed Howard just to come in for the easy spoil.
Darcy doesn't go for the ruck work here. Sarong thought he had it. Hanbury does have it. Gave it to Crouch. Wobbles it. Good attack from Pearce, but then fumbled it away. Akers blasts it. Darcy stands under it. Flicked away from him. And can't be kept alive by Weston. And will get a ball in. Still alive here. Forward pocket for the Dockers.
He is looking sure, Sean Darcy, but the St Kilda defenders all day, and Howard and Wilkie, they've done such a power of work of body positioning and making it uncomfortable for the Fremantle forwards. They're doing a great job down there.
The fact he's not rucking means he's on one leg.
Yep.
Hunter played it down to the front. Crouch knew he had the handball. Claverino had no choice but to kick. And let's see, that's sufficient intent. It is.
You nearly look from a Fremantle point of view to go completely small down there, because at the moment it's Collier, Henry and now Weston who look the most lively in terms of speed inside forward 50 for the Dockers. Now, you know, you've got to change your ball movement, not bomb it in, all those things, but it might be the spark that's required.
You can't sub Darcy off, of course. Kowski already been subbed. So low handball was effective enough from Jones to Bytel. Wandering ball, Watson missed the target of Young, who turns tactical quickly with the help from Pearce and buries Dan Hanbury into the wing somewhere.
That hurt. You just heard it. Oh,
yeah, I think the umpire fell over as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Hunter came late, got the tap. Membry released the handball. So Akers might have been doing a bit of rucking there for Fremantle. I wonder if that's going to have to be the case to give Meek a bit of a rest. Saints have ball control again, and Sharman comes out to take the mark. Looking for his third goal.
He's just a great prospect. A really, really good prospect. And it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in when King's back and Membry's up and running. They give them 3 really good tools.
Well, when Ryder plays as well.
Well, and then you've got Marshall playing forward. It's an interesting mix, isn't it? But this young man's too good not to be playing.
Might be some other clubs having a close look too.
Wow. Jono. Wow. Big game. About to kick his third goal. Potentially. No.
Well, when you show this type of talent, and we just mentioned about 5 guys that could be in front of him at the start of next season, but you've got to fight for your spot, and I'm sure he will, and he's certainly put his hand up today.
Matthew Pavlich downstairs.
Yeah, Sean Darcy having a chat to Fremantle's doctor, clearly labouring with a lower leg issue. We know he's had that PCL type of injury and it's flared up a couple of times this year, but just wondering if it's that or something even lower down, ankle or calf perhaps, but he's certainly finding it hard to get around the ground.
Tracy bites off a beautiful inside kick. Ryan can't get it and go. Now he does go, heads long. Taberner got 2 to beat. Meeks lurking down there and slaps it almost to the advantage of Weston, but it's taken out.
Great kick from Tracy back in the middle. We saw Henry deliver one earlier. They're the kicks they've got to take on.
Yep.
The disappointing thing for Freo was when the long kick went forward, the crummer was Meek. Where were the smalls that have leg speed?
This game 9 for Meek. Huge moment in his career. Collier tracks it. Was he held? Howard collects it with some poise. Steele floats it, and is it out on the full? Higgins claims he touched it, but the umpire says you didn't, and it'll be coming back.
By the way, Cooper Sharman signing a new 2-year deal during the week, Jono, so hands off.
There you go. Fair enough. Fair enough. Still.
Didn't take long for that to come through.
No.
Wrong.
Normally doesn't, Hutto, and that's the good thing, but
It's a Forrest in there. Oh, it's one big target. He wasn't far off the mark. He's trying to impose himself on the game, Tracy. Oh, the fit of the fumbles in the worst place. Is he okay, Jones? I think just for a moment. That's not a great hand pass.
Thanks. Yep, stand.
McKenzie. He's still
Play on.
he had the poke in the eye
earlier
in the game. Oh,
Yeah.
Ryan went, he's taken one down. Ben Long feeling worse for wear. Not going to get a lot of sympathy from the Freo players.
Oh, there
He
you
got
go.
one high.
The bloodies.
Umpire gave him a free kick for high, and he obviously got one high.
He's not happy about it.
So let's have a look here. Here's the one that got him. Yep, there you go.
Well, look, there's nothing malicious about that. He was sticking the hand out trying to block the ball, and that's another big contest between Long and Hughes. They're not just playing out time, are they, these two teams?
No, they've got plenty of time to get over any bumps and bruises. The Saints, no need to leave anything in the tank, and Ben Long really does anyway. And as you can see, Zach Jones, 13-game season for Zach. Be wishing he had some finals on offer, but the Saints don't. This is the last of the year. Steele, slick hands. He was clever. Flicked it over the top. Straight away, they're in attack. And the mark taken by Pearce. Now they need to take on this last 5 minutes, the Dockers. They've got the breeze. Can they eat into this 22-point margin in this last 5 minutes? Sarong looks up.
Got to go. They've just got to go.
Yeah.
That trademark headband just floats it wide to Ryan.
And sometimes it's not about looking for the perfect option. It's just making an attacking option and putting the responsibility back on your teammate to make something happen. Just give him an opportunity. But you've got to go. You've got to be aggressive down the middle when it presents itself. We've seen a couple of great corridor kicks already this quarter. They need more of them.
So Pearce to Young, but he turns it over to Caulfield, and the Saints have another 4 minutes with this breeze. What will Webster do? He launches it on the breeze. It sails a little. Another big mark for Sharman.
Should have signed a 3-year deal or waited another week. That's a big grab.
And he's been the difference. No King. Enter Cooper Sharman. Big grabs. Confident kick at goal as well.
Max who?
Well, Jono wants him at the Bullies, so he'll be organising some sort of trade, because you can trade contracted players.
Of course you can.
For goal number 3 for the afternoon. And he's got it. And Fremantle have got problems.
Oh, seriously, well done to this young man.
He impresses. The more you see him, the more impressive he is, Jono.
Yeah, that's right. And look, he, King out of the lineup gets a real decent look at playing his way this afternoon, and the pressure and the ball movement's been pretty good from the Saints. But his ability to get to the position to compete has allowed him to be successful in this game.
Well, maybe Fremantle just setting things up for one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
Well, you never know, Hutto.
They better pull the trigger soon,
Yes.
Hutto.
37 points down. They were in the second quarter last time they met.
Into the breeze as well.
Into
Hutto.
the breeze. Make it as hard as possible.
Good pressure team, the Saints, particularly over the last month. And
Yep.
Freo, unfortunately, it's not their strong suit.
Oh, Sarong almost beheaded there. Steele, #1 tackler in the competition, just got one a little high on that occasion. Sarong. Right to the goal mouth. Tracy couldn't. Akers tried to get a pass. Tracy is their leading tackler inside the forward 50, and he shows it there. So that's what he can bring. Still not getting a lot of possessions. Pushed up the ground a little bit today, as we've seen. And Howard, I think, happy enough to make it a 0-0 draw.
Rowan, Lloyd, separate the meter, please.
Tabernar just edging away from the contest. Tracy there as well. Ruckman wrestle. Meek tapping it down to Tracy. Howard kept him to good account, and then it's everybody pile on.
You mentioned they're setting up a great comeback, Hutto. It's going to be a record-breaking comeback, because in the history of the club, the greatest comeback from three-quarter time is an 18-point margin. So that's one heck of a setup.
At three-quarter time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Records are made to be broken, Jason.
They are. I'd just like to see anything positive to make me think the Dockers can actually do it.
Now, given the season we've had and what yesterday delivered,
Who knows?
anything's possible. They better start soon, though.
And they're effectively a man short, aren't they, with Sean Darcy injured and having already used the sub.
Just deflating it even further. Aisha Stewart
That's good.
getting his shoes polished.
That's old school.
That is old school, Jono, isn't
Yeah, I
it?
love that.
The big steel brush.
Yep.
Jones found a way through and used Steele to good advantage. Sharman again, his presence being felt not just in the forward line.
I think that's the great thing about Sharman. We're seeing him push up. He's playing the full role. So you can sit there and say, is it easier when King's there and you're not getting the best defender? Or all of a sudden you're drawing more football and you're getting more opportunity? And he certainly thrived on that today.
Meek. Underneath him was Steele by Tell. Ryan almost hooked it in. Higgins. Now the chase is on. 2v1, so Fremantle should emerge with the football. Logue even had the luxury of a time to look up and handball. That same luxury wasn't afforded to Tucker. And now Jones trying to work through this. And he did well, resisted the temptation to blast. And Membry will get the shot for goal.
Well, he's had a couple of looks today, Tim Membry, but they've been out wider. They've been quite difficult shots. So you'd expect him to absolutely nail this one, Jace.
It was an ordinary old hand pass from Griffin Logue that put his teammate under pressure.
Yeah. Seen that a lot from Freo today.
Just kick 1 goal, 2. 32 goals for the season. Been a wonderful pick-up for them over the years from the Sydney Swans. Tim Membry. To make the job even more unlikely for Fremantle. It still means a bit to the Saints. Membry kicks his second, and the margin stretches to 34 points.
Well, the two aspects of the game, their transition out of the back half, the Saints has been very good in their pressure around the footy to create the turnover, the poor skill error, and capitalise from poor skills from Freo today has set them apart in this contest. You can see there Fremantle with that poor handball, and then they've got players completely out of position and St Kilda holding their structure.
Saints have showed their upside a few times this year. Won their elimination final last year, finished 5th. Be disappointed even if they do finish this season strongly with a win this afternoon.
It sits with the inconsistency, doesn't it?
Yeah, and just miss out on the 8 by percentage, really.
Yeah.
Crow thumps it forward. Is there a twist in this script yet? Brayshaw spins out of a jam. Flicked it wide, through the traffic. Bewley got it back. Brayshaw, goal square. Taverner tried something crazy. And I think Collier has succeeded.
I think Wilkes is trying to say it's come off his head.
Yeah. Skimmed his head.
Score review. Umpire's call, is it behind? Please check to see if it's touched by the defender.
Or just glances the forehead.
Review underway.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
I tell you what, he's lucky the ball wasn't about 2 or 3 inches lower.
Yes.
Could have taken his head off. It doesn't look much from that angle, does it?
Little deviation.
No, you need a
we go.
full head of hair in this instance to be able to see the hair fly back. But, yeah, a little bit of scalp movement there on the way through.
He didn't show any pain. It must have just been
A glance.
Glance.
Just when they needed some luck.
So the
The
umpire's
Dockers, they're not going to get any.
the umpire's called touched.
Is it behind?
Yeah.
So it won't be overruled on
No.
that.
Maybe it was the wind that he felt on his head. It was that close. Did it actually touch? But you need...
Checking for red marks.
Yeah.
Review complete. Looking at this angle, we can see the ball makes contact with the St Kilda defender's head before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on scoreboard.
As long as you sound decisive.
I might have gone, umpire's decision. Well, they just can't take a trick, the Dockers. Nearly a goal from nothing for Collier.
Popular call amongst the Saints fans in Hobart. Hill, he's gone that a little too wide, and so day doesn't get any better for Justin Longmire after that near miss. But they do get one last chance to wind up. Ryan sets sail, and Tracy stole it away from Banfield. Collier still has time, hustling, bustling, running out of real estate. So we'll get a throw.
It's unfortunate, isn't it? He would have taken it at the second grab, Banfield.
Ruck, two's up.
Unfortunately, when a player sees the ball, he just wants to grab it.
Hold out.
Can they find someone here? Collier probably looks the most dangerous at ground level.
Play on.
Marshall got the tap. Croden.
Got 15, play on.
Jones. 15 seconds remaining, and that's high. So that will just about be it, you would think, barring a disaster for the quarter. A quarter that the Saints can claim. 4 goals, 3 to 1-3. And a 33-point margin is going to take a record-breaking effort from Fremantle into the breeze to put up their hand for finals footy, something they haven't been able to do this afternoon. It's the Saints 10-5-65 and the Dockers 4-8-32. It looks like the home and away season is going to finish for both sides in about 30 minutes' time.
The back half to the front half, and you can see what it means. It actually shows that St Kilda go ahead of the Dockers on the ladder.
Yeah, percentage, they jump Richmond and Fremantle if they continue on their merry way, and Essendon inside the top 8 right now get locked into that spot, even though they are to play Collingwood later on this afternoon. So a couple of men down for Fremantle, and it's going to make it even tougher for them with a quarter to play, and maybe the huge moment coming up for Lloyd Meek to try and take up the slack. So back in the middle, bright sunshine, Blundstone Arena in Hobart. It comes down to this.
It does. 30 minutes ahead. Fremantle have got to find something out of the box. It's hard to see, but who knows? Meek has inherited the ruck spot with the injury to Darcy, and he takes on Rowan Marshall in the middle. Gets the tap. Sarong, fresh from 31 disposals last week, doing his best. Brayshaw returning today. They've fallen short thus far. Sarong after it again, the rising star from last year. He had a look at Long and thought, I can get past and clear. The kick, though, into the breeze was the next thing. Here's Brayshaw trying to redouble his efforts. And they had to, because they were coming one after another. And there was no way out. He's claiming he handballed it. He's a frustrated young man.
Yeah, they need a hero. They need a few heroes. Fremantle, Sarong, one of theirs from last week. Walker caught. Butler takes him to the line.
Lloyd, Rowan, down here, guys.
Face-to-face contact between the two. Intensity's been up in this game from the outset. From the throw-in, Meek and Marshall to Ross to Hanbury. Little chip towards half forward. And Higgins started well, gave them life early. Helps it across the boundary for a ball in. Meek and Marshall again to go at it. Some space around them. Brayshaw lurking for the quick palm down. Sarong couldn't trap it, had to lay a tackle to keep it in the area. Flicked out in the by-tell direction, and Mundy takes that game's record from Matthew Pavlich this afternoon. Can't do something spectacular there. Ball in.
Just wonder how you're going to assess Fremantle. Is it all blue skies for them in terms of we've seen their young talent coming through, but they too have been inconsistent at times. They haven't come up to the mark. Had a lot of injuries, which has complicated the assessment as well. Walker is another one of those youngsters. Got disrupted severely. Collier at the other end of the scale. He's fought hard as the season has progressed. Stay in this team, and he guides it well enough to Taberner. Hasn't been a factor today. Darcy's still out there. Put the arms up. He still couldn't drag it down. Collier following up. Long belts it back to the middle of the ground, and then it sits for Butler. And a path is clear. He legs it through the centre. Two bounces, Butler. He cricks it across to Sharman. He's going to go in for another one. Here's the greatest Sharman.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
Well, it's off turnover once again, and they had an opportunity, Fremantle. It was a good kick from Taberner to Darcy, dropped the mark, and then it was just off to the races for the Saints, who held their three forwards. Once it broke through the middle of the ground, Butler was able to run onto an uncontested ball, and they were able to create the overlap. It was too easy.
Symptomatic of the day, isn't it? As you see, Sharman leads all comers with 4 goals won. Another goal from the defensive half for the Doggers, but they've got themselves to blame. So it was a perfect kick. Darcy should be having a shot for goal at one end. You drop an easy mark, you get punished on turnover.
That's part of the assessment this year, Hutto. I think the future's bright for Fremantle, but if they can't get basic skill level right in games where they go in sort of favourite, then that's where the pressure comes, the external pressure.
Mundy slips into the tackle. Steele had him trapped and goes back and gets it, slips it to Ross. Up and running big time. Kent already launched one from there. Deja vu. It's got a second from outside 50.
I think it's beyond Fremantle now.
Well, the scoreboard started to look ugly. Celebrations for the Saints. So they've played a very good brand of footy today. When they've been able to run, they've linked up with hand pass really, really well. And what it's shown is the lack of pressure from the Dockers. They've got attacking side all too often. They've been able to run in numbers and just pretty much do as they please once they've won the ball.
Well, you can see there on the vision, you've got Ace and Young, who are the half-backs that are pushing up and not releasing back with any urgency.
What was the percentage gain they needed, Dwayne, coming in?
20% they needed to jump on the ladder to pass Essendon.
It's about 111 goals short,
yeah,
I think.
It's a pity they weren't a little closer percentage-wise, because it would have added something to this game and to the last game between Essendon and Collingwood.
On the back foot percentage-wise, haven't they, since earlier in the year when Essendon absolutely smashed them?
So, Jono, who are you more bullish about in 2022 out of these two teams?
I said at the start of the year that I thought Freo could win it within the next 2 or 3 years, on the back if they can get their back six right. So I'm sticking with, as much as I like what St Kilda are building, I think Freo still are just in front in terms of what they've got, especially if they get their key players back from injury, can get a full season out of them, in particular down back in Cox and Hamling, I think.
Marshall got the hands free quick enough. Ross, Hanbury readjusted, went back in, got it. Crouch, and it's all St Kilda's way at the moment. Oh, that's 50.
That says it all.
Take a walk.
Every coach with his head in his hands.
You see Matty Boyd. Well, you can see what was going through Walker's mind. He feigns, is there a hand pass coming? I'm not going to allow it to happen. But he slapped the ball out of the hands, and that's an easy 50 metres.
The masks have come in handy for the coaches occasionally, haven't they? So the assistants, Dan Butler is well within range. Hasn't quite been as productive a season for Butler last year. Really took the footy world by storm in his first year with the Saints. 16 goals, 17 coming in today. He nudges that through for another. He's been part of it. That's his second goal. We've been sharing the love, Matthew Pavlich.
Yeah, Brad Hill is done for the day. Ryan Burns comes on for his first trot. So looking forward to seeing what he can add for the St Kilda lineup. But yeah, that one just unfortunate from Walker. As you said, you could see exactly what he was trying to do, but really well played from Sinclair. I may have said Sinclair, it was Butler, of course, but yeah, there is Brad Hill with his left ankle or Achilles strapped.
Any feel on how serious that is, Pav? Or
no, look, I think it's precautionary. I think he came off. You could see it was strapped, so he had a quick chat to the physios and the doctors. They tapped him on the back and said, "You're done," but I don't think it's too serious.
He's had a pretty good season, Ryan Burns, the sub, so get him on. You don't have to play next week, so you don't have to prove your sub had to come on for an injury necessarily. If it's a small one, well, it's a small one. Good attack from Henry. Kept it alive, kept it in front. Brayshaw went and got it. Back to Henry. Slipped on the back pedal. Mundy breaks free again. Got his way clear of the tackler. Meeks caught, flicks it over the top. Banfield feeds it out. Taberner. And the bounce of the ball, it's been that kind of day for Tab again. And the hack forward gathered easily by Howard. And Wilkie looks like he's moving slowly as well. Long. Heads long. Kent's had a good afternoon at the office. Looks inside. Finds Steele. Likewise, it's been spectacular again, as he has been all season. To Membry, who pumps it. Gets it long, and Hunter nearly raked it in with one hand. And off the deck, Marshall. Adds to the beauty of it for Saints fans.
Score review. Umpire's call for goal. Please check off the touch.
I think even Pearce said
He
he shook his head. He said, "I didn't
He
get
shook
near
his
that."
head. Yep, didn't get near it.
Yeah.
You can see a clear gap there, so this shouldn't take long at all. In fact, we don't need to see that replay again. But we can keep playing it if you like.
Complete. Looking at this angle, we can see a gap between the ball and the Fremantle defender at all times before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on scoreboard.
So confirmation of St Kilda's 14th goal.
Jack Steele, 32 disposals now, and they put some time into Jack Steele in the opening half of this game with Banfield, but then they broke that, and it's broken open as well. Although as good as Jack Steele was in the first half, he's enjoyed the freedom in his game in this second half of football, and he's absolutely dominated. Makes it really interesting for that All-Australian midfield, Dwayne. You mentioned that Jack Steele was probably a lock in your team, but wow, you know, like there's going to be a couple of unlucky players that
Who are you leaving
miss
out, Dwayne?
Who am I leaving out?
Yeah.
Oh, one of the big guys.
Yeah.
Another midfielder gets in. 19 midfielders and a couple of others.
So Jack Steele can play on a wing or at half forward in your team.
Oh, half back. Who knows? We'll get them all in.
How many Port Adelaide players?
Wines.
Meet Vital onto it, gets it forward, and there's an excellent take from Logue. And then where to next? Asking of his teammates to give him something. Akers obliges, kept his feet. Mundy kept toiling away. Normally exquisite use of the football, but he had to take into account that Darcy can barely move. Croden wipes away all that was ahead of him, lets himself down with the delivery, but speed is well and truly on from Weston. Across the ground goes the kick. There's the sub to sub. Burns takes it away for the Saints, and now Kent can pump it up. Nice and long and strong into the pocket. Marshall's after another. He just gets away from him. He's kicked goals now in 6 games this year, Rowan Marshall. And the assessment of the Saints, of course, have to take into account how many times Marshall and Wright are playing together, because it's just it's a different combination when they're there, isn't it? Unfortunately, Paddy Wright is getting towards the end of his career, so that's something in their planning as well, but he's definitely going to play on next year. Beautifully judged by Webster on the way out. He's been excellent with his intercept marks again today, and Jones's delivery, exactly what Tim Membry was after.
Well, the wind's gone out of the Doctor's sails now, hasn't it? It actually looks like training drills. They're just mopping up the ball when it comes to them around the halfback or wing area, the Saints, and then just picking and choosing which way they want to go forward.
Jimmy Webster's 5th mark off the opposition today. Set that play up. Host of multiple goal kickers for the Saints. 5 players already have 2 goals or more. One of them is Tim Membry. He's looking for his 3rd. And he won't have to wait too long with a kick like that. So a nice positive finish to the year. The roller coaster ride that has been season 2021 is going to finish on an up.
Well, it is, and it certainly helps with that final review when you step into the coach's office after the season and you've had a good win to finish things. And it's the opposite for Fremantle, undoing some good work to get themselves into a position to potentially play finals, and then their review process and individually will be soured by this effort today.
Yeah, they'll finish about 11th. Now, Fremantle, 12th last season. And the Saints will jump them on the ladder. And as we talked about, right now they're essentially percentage outside the 8. Essendon will play finals this year, which is amazing for Bombers fans to think of where they were at the start of this year with their new coach and a young squad. Saints having some fun now. Demolition job on Fremantle to finish the season. 27th season in the AFL for Fremantle, yet to win a flag. Saints not won for 54 years as well. Well, it is an interesting question. Who's going to be better of these two next year? Steele. Looks forward. Might launch it. Just sits it up to the pocket in the end, and Watson knew what he wanted to do. Just couldn't do it. Through his hands and out of play.
Once again, Jack Steele just chipping it to the pocket 50 metres out. You'd love to see him launch it.
Take your partners for the throw in. Marshall the tap. Hanbury on the move. Aish. Watson. I'm not sure that was meant for you, Andrew Brayshaw, but he took it anyway. Got the rush kick out of there. Hunter, both hands to it. Jones. Good insurance at the back. Claverino. And giving up more ground was Caulfield. Got it all ahead of him. Wilkie as he runs onto the left. Another penetrating kick. Ryan did enough. Watson got through the first couple. Logue emerged with it. Now Henry need to dart back to the inside. Good left-handed handball going forward. Aish, then back to the outside. Weston.
1 metre, please, Callum.
There's better control, at least by Fremantle. Too little too late, of course. Taberner more of the same. Maybe the pressure coming back the other way might have dropped off a little bit. Henry, his first effort wasn't as good as he would have liked, so he had to go in and try and recover it. And now we've got a ball up.
Yeah, but I didn't mind that from Henry. He was involved on the release out of the back 50.
Yeah.
And then was able to present inside forward 50 as well.
Still big numbers around the ball. Darcy knocked it to the outside. Brayshaw back to Henry again. Finds Darcy. It has not been his afternoon. And again, the Saints can get started from defence.
Kicked 7 goals in a row. The Saints really finishing this one in style. Spear pass is good to Sarong. Croydon. Young looks up. They're coming at him. Bewley bounced it to Akers in game 100. Flicks it to Weston. Told to go, the sub in game 4. Got a bit on it, not enough on it. Float in was good from Hunter. And thumped it through for a behind.
It's a fine line, Jono, isn't it? The umpire's supposed to go and put you on the mark.
Yeah.
If you're not on the mark, it's play on because you've already moved off the mark.
He actually lined himself up where the St Kilda player was.
Yeah.
On the mark.
Long. Heads long, Membry heads down. Akers did nicely. Sarong back to Akers. Saints have players back in the holes. Tracy got up. Collier kick smothered. Back into that congestion. Mad scramble. Umpire to sort it out.
Bright sunshine in Hobart. Darcy does the tap work. Probing from Jones. Helps himself to his 25th disposal. Back to the wing. Watson. To bring the big man down. He was able to do that. Membry clambering after it. Watson again. Meek just took us a beat too long to dispose of the footy. And Marshall gets all the applause.
Lets him know about it.
Saints have had the run with the umpires. Not saying anything incorrectly, but they just had more free kicks.
Hasn't been one of those where, you know, the arms are up going, there's a discrepancy in that.
Sounded accusatory.
It did.
Caulfield to the outside. Burns can sneak in. Send a bullet into the pocket. Hunter loping after it. Knew what he had to do. Whacked it back in. Sharman. Couldn't get a shot for goal that time. Croydon.
The pressure's been good all day from the Saints. They're closing the space all afternoon. Haven't allowed Fremantle to get any freedom with their movement.
And the palm down. Mundy. Sarong. Henry. Tough for Banfield. Had to go back and knock it. Back to Henry. Back to Sarong. Inside to Meek. Lopes his way into the middle and finds Bewley. All the way back to Akers. Flicks it over to Young. See what he wants to do here. Put the move on, and then didn't have the boots to get away with it. And Akers wrapped up beautifully by Jones. Gone. Gives him a little pat. Says, yeah, got you cold there. Too good for you. And I'll just hold it up.
Good lip reading, Dwayne. Jones back to Wilkie. And then to Howard. Oh, Claverino tidies it up. Sinclair takes the mark and then just takes the ground. Ross. More of the same. The absence of significant pressure here. It's just a nice little kicking drill. Sharman. Might want a bit more opposition once they get up to the 50. Crouch.
Another highlight of just how easy it's been for the Saints to move the ball from the back half today. Even when Brett Bewley got that last ball, he was right in the middle of the ground. They had one-on-ones inside 50, and yet they go on the outside.
Sinclair. Oh, Higgins wasn't far off, jagging another one up forward. Watson, plenty of work to do. Down in the back half this afternoon for him. Kent squeezes a little kick out. Ryan let it come to him. Aish, again, they work right at the extreme of the boundary.
And we know, you know, the way you use the ball actually helps you defend. And so if you turn the ball over in an easy position for the opposition, well, then it's much more efficient and effective for them to then move the ball back inside their forward 50. So the Dockers with some work to do.
Hunter and Meek drag each other off the ball. Umpire let it roll. Young, the meat and the sandwich.
That's a bit messy, guys. You've got to get each other.
There you go. Umpire Nick Foot with the explanation. And they dance the dance. Steele, Butler, little nudge by Young, but it was okay. Walker was kind of hoping that went out and then had to take it out himself.
Alex Pearce, Gents, has spent quite some time on the bench this last quarter. He came off and had a chat to the doctors, and they're obviously taking no risk with that ankle. You can see there he's got the boots off. So he's done for the day and taking no risk. He's missed so much football, Pearce, so making sure that he's okay for the off-season.
Might be down to 17 the way they're going. Shortly, they've lost players left, right, centre. Bundy scrambles it away, holding. So Marshall's ball, he didn't get a run at it. Taberner infringed. Marshall looks inside. He sits it on Crouch's head. Bewley can't make him pay. Caulfield pokes it just inside 50, past the outstretched hands and rolled towards the line. Nice balk from Ryan. Sold a little bit there. Walker with the inside kick. Wasn't meant for Western, but have found him. And they're off and running. Sarong, midfield. Bounced it nicely to Mundy, off and running. Launches it long, and Taberner can get himself a late consolation prize.
One of the few times today they've been able to move it from one end to the other and find a free option in their attacking 50. And it comes from a couple of good hand passes. Even though that misses the target, it's out in front, so they played on. And they actually didn't allow St Kilda to structure up behind the ball. They didn't kick to outnumbered scenarios. They took the initiative. And in the end, Taberner able to get an uncontested chess mark. 30 out from goal.
4 goals, 9. A little bit of the story of their year with their inaccuracy, and Taberner accentuates the point. 4 goals, 10, and are still 7 goals in a row at the moment for the Saints.
Pav, can I ask you what your thoughts are on Fremantle's prospects? Are you confident overall?
Well, look, I think they've got a really good, solid young list, and I agree with Jono. If you add the likes of Brendan Cox into that back half, Joel Hamling, you know, it looks like he's on the mend and on the way back. I think there's some really strong foundations, but if you add Adam Cherra, Nat Fyfe and Michael Walters this side, it makes a difference as well.
Yeah, significant outs, as the Saints have as well. Of course, at the moment, advantage paid, pressure on the little chip, and it won't get there.
I think it's an interesting point about, you know, next year. I think the Saints are probably ahead of where the Dockers are in terms of, you know, they've got an older list. They've obviously gone to the free agency and the trade period and loaded up their team. But for the future, I don't disagree with John. I think the future is bright beyond next year and beyond for Freo.
Burns It's a target on the way out. Interesting to see what St Kilda do with their list, what their approach in the off-season. Jack Billings, there's a decision to be made there by
There's
both
a
parties.
bit of discussion at the moment in terms of some of the players that have been in the lineup for a number of years now.
Sinclair plays it wide. Steele's going to arrive in a moment. The ball goes all the way through to Hunter, who did what he could, which wasn't able to do much. Came to a bit of a standstill. Higgins just snapped a little kick out of there. And a tough watch, I think, for Justin Longmuir. Be really disappointed.
Look at that bottom left of screen. 46.5 minutes since their last goal. When you were playing to keep your finals hopes alive. That's
Marshall. Lauren to himself there. He puts it through. Nice work for the big guy.
He's dominated today, Rowan Marshall. He spent a good chunk of time down forward as well, having a rest, but he's kicked the 2 at the 20 disposals. What I've really liked about his game today is he's spread from centre bounce. He pushes out on the 45 really well. He links up. And he's a good reference for his teammates, because if he goes, then others are going with him. So he's able to then create those nice handball overlaps.
7 goal kickers, 6 of them have been multiples.
Yeah, it's a good presence inside forward 50, Marshall.
So 8 goals in a row now on a beautiful afternoon in Hobart for the Saints. And you wonder what might have been for the Saints. They led for the majority of the game against Geelong last week.
Yeah, they did.
Cats kicked the last 2 goals and won that by 14 points. And here they are. They're going to finish this season just percentage of Essendon, who still have a game to play, by the way, but promise so much, the Saints. Mundy takes off. Spears that to the top of the square, off hands. Ball hits the deck. Trapped by Banfield, and he bends that and breaks the drought.
It's a good finish. He's tried hard, Banfield. You know, he had the job early on Steele. Then went to Brad Hill for a while, but he always has a crack. Always has a crack. He's gone forward and playing almost a key forward type role in the second half of this game, and that's just a really high quality finish. Highlights few and far between for the Dockers today.
Well, it's on the back of this. Now, I know it looks a little bit messy, but that's 40 kicks inside forward 50 from the Fremantle Dockers for 2 goals,
wow.
Jason. So when you look at the amount of turnovers, 19 from those as well. So it's not as if they haven't had the looks this afternoon in terms of the ball that it has gone inside forward 50. Skill level, we've mentioned all day, has been down by hand and foot, and that's where St Kilda have really punished them from that area of the ground.
Meek gave Henry a chance off the square. Sarong, slightly wild handball, but Brayshaw was able to tame it. Now Crowden puts the little step on, fell over, got back up, got it short. Second possession for Sarong, and 2 Sarongs make a right there as Henry takes the mark. Last 4 minutes of the season for both teams.
Straight back on that line, Liam.
He's kept at it, hasn't he, Henry? 14th disposal coming up.
Crowden's had some good midfield minutes too, some good centre bounce.
He's enjoyed it.
Attendances today.
Bit of time in the middle. I guess the injury to Fife, and then Chera as well has opened up those possibilities. So Henry, can he slot a second?
It's going to be an interesting point, isn't it, with the likes of Chera, if he stays, and then Sarong and Brayshaw, with Fife and Walters being out, and a lot more of their younger brigade going through that midfield, including Swikowski and Crowden today. Where does Fife play moving forward? He's obviously a midfielder and such a very good one of the best we've seen in recent times, but you know, is it his time to spend much more of a position key forward, because they do need some talent in that forward half, the Dockers?
Is that a question or a statement?
Yeah.
That's a question.
Well,
I thought it sounded like a statement for me.
Can he play in the back half, Pat?
No.
No, I think it's front half or mid minutes.
Crowden to Bewley. Little ricochet. Caulfield, good commitment. Tracy beeline the ball, but was content with a bit of body. Chip kick is beautiful. Membry to Kent.
I can just see him cleaning up a lot, though, with the way the game's played at the minute. Wing, back, getting that transition through.
I think they've got enough players that can play that role, that can clean up for them. But I agree with Pat. You need some genuine class in that forward 50.
Yep.
Sharman, Butler still, Sharman still. It's been the story of the day. Fed a handball out. Another nice fake from Ryan. Used his full measure. Pumps it out of there. Saints have a wall behind the ball. Marshall beelined it. Court left it behind. Let Steele go and get it. Watson. Inside handoff. Brayshaw. Sarong. He's fought his heart out. Back to Watson. Ran into a brick wall. Akers. Croden bustles his way to it. Bangs it to half forward. Henry, a little paddle. He couldn't dive for the grab. And with 2 minutes left, we'll get a ball in.
Just the third time this year they've broken the 100-point barrier, the Saints, and they've done it without King up forward, so that's a good result. Just teasing us again what they're capable of at times. Can they start delivering on a weekly basis next season?
Steele extracted it initially, but then ran into a host of Dockers. Brayshaw leg, there's a bit of cramp going on late in the season. Big Meek's probably had to do a few more minutes than he thought he was going to in the ruck. All the way to full forward. Long was the flyer, but Tracy is standing, and he had a look at his teammate.
Weston wanted it. I didn't mind the little call, little cheeky handball late.
He's had 3 touches and hasn't hit the scoreboard. You're entitled to say, I need to salvage something here.
Guys, you need to move right back 5 minutes.
Something late for Tracy. His first season of AFL footy. It's been a pretty good one. He's going to finish it with a goal. Still a very young man, just 19 years of age. Tackle slipped.
Good block from Darcy there. Weston looking for the cheeky handball.
Hasn't kicked a goal yet, Joel Weston, so it's a fair ask. Switkowski we saw come off early on the crutches, so that's a bad news story amongst a few bad news stories for Fremantle. They've lost quite a few players with injury. Sean Darcy hobbling early.
Let's hope it's not as serious as it looks, because he was struggling to move, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And of course the big bad news story as well, as far as the team's concerned. They haven't made the finals this year, and that was what was on offer for them, a chance to. Aish lost it.
It doesn't matter though, Dwayne, because Jono's declared them. There's a premiership coming.
I like it.
He's virtually said the future's so bright you got to wear shades.
And the long launch forward in style to finish it all off. Beautiful to watch. It's been a domination by the Saints, and Bytel gets his first or his second goal in AFL footy.
Well, Rats had enough for season 2021. That is it for him as coach. The players have got 40 seconds left of work for this season. Bytel today, 17 disposals, 2 goals. So once again, he's been okay this year. We've mentioned the injuries he's had to battle through. Now he's had some good consistent games throughout the season. Got a good opportunity today to play really strong midfield time, and has shown that he's a player of the future.
So hands are shaking in the box for the Saints as their season is just about done. They're going to finish on a win. The only good news for Fremantle is because the game is in Tassie, they don't have to quarantine when they go home. Croden to Sarong, to half forward. Henry gave it a little hand. Weston, that was going to be his chance to kick a goal. Still having a crack with 20 seconds remaining. And that's going to be holding the ball. Advantage, here he is.
Oh, no.
What might have been. He's going to have to wait till next year. And Henry, one last charge into the wind. Akers, the former Saint, out of his mask. He's got it. No, he hasn't. And that's about sums it up. An opportunity missed for Fremantle. The season is over for both Fremantle and St Kilda. Old teammates Blake Akers and Nick Caulfield exchange pleasantries. The Dockers fall well short of the mark. St Kilda finish on and up with a 58-point win. So the Saints pip the Dockers on the ladder on percentage. Both teams with 10 wins and 12 losses in the season, the same as the Bombers, who still have one to go and are going to play finals football. But I think it would be hard to mount an argument that either side deserves to be there in September. No, that's a fair call, Hutto. The Saints, they've had some great wins. They showed us once again what they are capable of. The challenge for them is to start doing it on a weekly basis, a much more consistent basis. And they've fallen short, as have Freo, who gave us glimpses. And the disappointing thing for them, John, I think, is when there was still a carrot dangling, they were unable to find the sort of performance that gave them a chance of playing finals. That's right. The gap between good and bad for both teams is quite big. Down to Matthew Pavlich. Here with Jack Steele. Jack, that's a nice way to finish the season.
Yeah, it's very pleasing after the tough year we had. We're faced with a lot of adversity with injuries and stuff at the start of the year, and I suppose post-bye we've been able to really turn that around, and it was nice to finish the season on a win and in front of our fans too down here in Tassie, so it was good. Lots of talk about the tackle pressure and defensive structure. You've looked like you've focused on the back half of the season. That was very strong today. Yeah, well, I think we needed to be. We scouted how Freo like to move the ball out of stoppage and stuff like that, like to chain, and especially when they were going to the win today, they were certainly going to do it, so we needed to bring the pressure, and we were able to do it. And how electric is some of the ball use off the half-back line? It's been a feature, again, since about round 15 or 16, how well you move the ball and score. Yeah, it's been great. We've always sort of had that talent and that ability to do it, but we haven't had our defensive structure right, so it was nice that we've been able to put that in place after the bye and be able to play a bit of footy. A young forward who stepped up today, Cooper Sharman, he showed a bit. Yeah, he obviously got him in the mid-season bye, and he played pretty quickly, and yeah, he hasn't had a bad game since, so he's always bobbed up and kicked a couple, which is nice. And an off-season now to think about going further again next year. Yeah, well, like I said before, it's been a disappointing year, but we've still got a lot of hunger and drive in this group, and we've got a good core, so it'd be nice to get a nice pre-season in and get going. Well played today, and thanks for your time. Cheers, Pav. Appreciate it. Well spoken by Jack Steele. He seems to understand where they're at. He's a good leader, isn't he? Oh, he's leading with his actions as well. Yeah. Ultimately. I mean, a lot of people can talk the talk, Jono, but he's the one that backs it up. He leads by example, and he shows the sort of effort that's required from all players if St Kilda are going to get where they need to go. So he had 35 today. Jack Steele led the way once again. Brad Crouch had 28. Zach Jones, 27. And Sinclair, who I think also for St Kilda's had a brilliant season off half-back in a new role with 22 disposals, but uses the ball extremely well by foot.
Big round of applause for the Saints. 58 points, the final margin to finish their season. Turning out at Blundstone Arena to support their Saints. Played quite a few games in Tasmania over time. The Saints' first game in Tassie, though, for a couple of years as they head down to sing the song for the last time in 2021. Probably the surprising thing is the lack of controversy. When St Kilda play Fremantle, there's normally something strange that happens. They're pretty pumped by it, aren't they? Which shows what it still meant plenty to them.
It's amazing the difference between a good performance or a poor performance in the last game of the year. You can have a sour taste in your mouth, or you can be full of hope.